Baba.
Yes, my son. Yes, my son.
Tell me a story.
Millions of years ago, a meteorite made of vibranium, the strongest substance in the universe, struck the continent of Africa, affecting the life around it. And when the time of men came, 5 tribes settled on it and called it Wakanda.
Why?
We are blood. We respect our culture. We are the history. We stand for unity. We stand for integrity. We are Splash.
105.5 The Splash.
Splash FM 105.5.
8 a.m. You are listening to Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station, and the song by the late Majek Fashek, Mother, playing there in the background. Of course, if you haven't been able to figure it out yet, today is International Women's Day, and that song was particularly a special dedication to all the beautiful, wonderful, hard-working women out there who every day do the things that they know how to do and do it with a lot of love from their hearts and strive towards making our country and the world a better place. We celebrate you today. Happy International Women's Day. We hope that you go ahead and have a blast. That today is a special day for you, that you get some allowances, whether with the house chores or at work, or, you know, just some fun moments today to indicate that you're special and your accomplishments are valid. My name is Charity Jerome. This is the concluding part of the morning Splash right here on Splash 105.5 FM. We like to call it Beyond the Surface. And today, as can be expected, our focus will be on International Women's Day. Yes. Absolutely. And I have a fantastic guest with me today. I'm really so excited to have her. First time I'm meeting her in person. And she's a woman that inspires you to want to be better. Her life alone, unfortunately, we're not going to talk a lot about her life and the things that she does on different platforms, but she's one woman who is an epitome of everything you want your model woman to be like. And I'm really excited to have her here, talk about International Women's Day with me. It's my pleasure to be introducing Mrs. Ezine Ibe. She's the founder of the Female Professionals Book Club, known as FPB, founded on the 15th of February in 2017. And the aim of that group is to create a platform for women who love to read, to come together, encourage each other, motivate each other, and draw strength from each other on that platform, whether it's family, business, career-wise, you know, talk about the struggles of women together and know that, you know, you have a shoulder to cry on, someone who understands what you're going through. She put that together, and that group is thriving. I hear that there are big plans, like plans to blow your mind, that's currently on the works. But she joins me this morning for our conversation about issues surrounding International Women's Day. It's a pleasure to have you here, ma'am.
Thank you, Chacha. Nice to be here too.
Absolutely. So first off, there's a lot of excitement and justifiably so, for International Women's Day. I want to ask a personal question to this day. What does it mean to you as a professional woman who is trying to balance work and family life? What does International Women's Day mean to you personally?
Okay, so every 8th of March, the world globally celebrate women.
Yes.
That's what has become the International Women's Day. And I think we too as women should celebrate ourselves, irrespective of the seemingly small changes or steps we think we have taken. If the world is beaming a searchlight on us, then I tell you there is something for us to celebrate. Now, personally for me, every International Day of the Women, I always write an article. So somehow I keep tabs with what the campaign themes have been. We've had Press for Progress, we've had Be Bold for Change, we've also had Be Better for Balance, or Better for Balance. And then this year particularly, the campaign theme is Choose to Challenge. But the theme for the 2021 IWD itself is Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. So it's very apt for a time like this, recognizing that women have been putting a lot or bringing a lot on the table, like it has almost become a cliche. But when you are in the midst of it and you assess what women are doing, whether as heads of government, heads of states, whether as healthcare workers, whether as caregivers, as teachers, you see that women have been putting their lives in the front line too in this COVID-19 era. So talking about women in leadership, what are the opportunities we have to do more? It is people in leadership that can do more. If you are being led, of course you have something to offer too, but except you are in a leadership position, You may not be able to be part of those decision-making meetings or exercises or policy-making decisions that can really influence or change the course of life. And one thing that is very key to me is that as women, we are bedrock of the family, of nation building as well. Why? Because we have the key responsibility of training the younger ones. So if we have opportunities to make decisions that will impact them or influence them, it's going to go a long way in helping us have the better society we are all looking at.
Do you think women have been given their due in this whole process? You know, a lot of times it seems like it's lip service when it comes to what women deserve, whether it's in nation building or as part of decision makers in industry. Do you think that we have been giving our rightful due based on what we bring to the table?
Chacha, that's a very sensitive question. But if today we are talking about achieving an equal future, then that means there is a gap somewhere. Of course, these things would have come up from the UN based on some statistics they have.
Yes.
For them to see that there are clear gaps which we need to fill. But I am not of the opinion that a woman should just be given a position just because she is a woman. Of course, competence has to be there. And the person over time would have proven her mettle. But the thing is, give the opportunity. In Africa, there are cultural beliefs and biases or stereotypes that tend to work against women.
The woman.
The belief that a woman is meant to be a homekeeper, stay at home. The belief that certain kinds of jobs are not for women. Do not make the decision for them. Leave them to make their decision. A very good example that comes to mind now is some kind of works that require physical strength. Probably in the time past, that's another thing too about this whole thing. The world has changed and it keeps changing.
Yes.
So because a lot is happening, there are lots of shifts. Look at COVID that has come. So we should be aware that because things are changing, a lot of things too, whether they are cultural beliefs or biases that seem to inhibit or prohibit women from occupying certain positions, it should change as well. So if there are jobs formerly that were for men because of, by nature of their design, physical strength, and in these days we have computers, we have machines, we have modernization and technology, why do you still retain such a job and said it must be done by a man? If a woman has a competence in doing that, why don't you give her that opportunity? Those are the things we should be able to look at, the changing times. Sometimes certain things come up because of the situation at that time. But the things begin to change and evolve, times and seasons. If it begins to happen, then we should be able to reorientate ourselves.
So the society should keep an open mind, you know, and not be drawn to the ways that things have always been done in the past. Times are changing, situations are changing, and women are stepping up, is what you're saying. So we should be given the opportunity. Let me flip the question. I asked if we have been giving our due. That was the first question. Now, I want to ask you, in your own opinion, and based on the experiences that you've had seeing women do the things that they do in different spheres, do you think the women are pulling their weight? Do you think the women are actually representing and, you know, showing what they can do and their abilities, whether in government, in industry, in the society generally, especially in this part of the world where we find ourselves?
Okay, I'll give you two examples, of which I think they are all global examples. The case of the new, recently appointed...
That's easy. That's an easy one. Okay.
Recently appointed Director General of the World Trade Organization. You know, there is something Madam Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala said, that for every office she occupies, she intentionally ensures that when she leaves that office, the door is left open for many more women to occupy it. So I think, to an extent, women have been able to match up to that, what they call breaking the glass ceiling.
Yes.
Another example I'm going to give you, there are over 195 countries in the world, and out of that number, about 2022 are being led by women as prime ministers or heads of government. Ethiopia is there, an African country. Germany is there, Finland, Denmark, and a lot of them. And it's all over the place that during this period of COVID-19 pandemic, their countries responded
better,
more rapidly and more effectively. And it's also important to know that it's not about competition. That's, you asked me my personal.
Of course.
It's not about competition. It's about complementing. what the male gender is already putting on the table. And another angle through which I see it is that women have a different role to play. So if a country or a society is neglecting that huge contribution the female gender will bring on board, then we are not optimizing our human resources. There is a lot we are leaving at the back, and we are looking ahead, not fully armed with what it takes. And then when people are left behind, what happens? That's when people begin to lose focus. People that would ordinarily add to the society, inertia will set in. If a woman is empowered, whether with knowledge, with skill, formal or informal, with capital, you can't imagine what she can do.
Absolutely.
You can't imagine how she can turn around the very economy around her. We are talking about gross domestic product in Nigeria, how population is skyrocketing, and that is coming down. It is those seemingly little things that add up.
Absolutely. I remember this saying we used to have back then when we were in debate class in primary. Yes,
girl child.
It was anytime there was an argument that had to do with girls or boys. Absolutely. Train a boy, you train an individual. Train a child, you train a nation. You train a girl child, you train a nation. So it seemed to be something that was, I don't know whether the ideals of it were burnt into my head, but it was just something that was popular, and we felt like it carried weight. So it was a good opener for such debates. But then again, the question is, how many people really believe such things? We have to go on a break now. When we come back, I'll be asking you about why you think that certain people, especially from the men folk, seem to be against whether it's equity or equality fight that women are driving, why there seem to be some negative connotations to feminism, and how we can counteract that, maybe by the actions that we put through as women or generally in other areas. But that's going to be after this break. If you just joined us, this is Splash 105.5 FM. It's 20 minutes past 8 o'clock. We have to take a commercial break now. We're celebrating the International Day of the Woman, 8th of March, of course, or as it's popularly known, International Women's Day. And our conversation on Beyond the Surface this morning is centered right around that. I have Mrs. Ezine Ibe, who is herself a female professional with many, many years of excellence, discussing issues around that with me. Don't go away. We'll be back after this break.
With goodness, the challenge can never ever stop us. You can't underrate us. You can't underrate it. But still with so much greatness. Enjoy our wonderful.
So you know say time don't reach to replace that your phone. Make it to for step up to correct level where they're bigger and better. See Samsung don't get another Osho freeway sweet. Not true you hear. Just get the Galaxy A71, A51 and A31 where the price don't reduce to 151,500 naira, 99,500 naira and 86,000 naira respectively. They never finish You go follow get 3,000 naira recharge when you buy the Galaxy A12, A02 and A02s. Don't quick offer valid while stock lasts. T's and C's apply.
See how much it now looks better. Golden pennies and movita. New look, the same great taste. Golden pennies and movita. Because it's easy to swallow and not too heavy. The same great taste, easy to make. Golden pennies and movita. See how much it now looks better. Golden pennies and movita. Natural ingredients. Golden pennies and movita. You're so full, pennies and movita.
See now the brand new look.
Mama says I'm movita.
See now the same great day.
Papa says I'm movita.
See now the golden penny.
Mother says I'm movita.
See now the golden penny.
Sister says I'm movita.
Excuse me? Yes, I'm talking to you. You who always wants to give your family the best things. I know you'll love this exciting DSTV decoder bundle offer. Instead of 18,600 naira, you can get a new DSTV HD decoder plus 1 month DSTV confirmed subscription for a lower price of 9,900 naira. Yes, you heard me right. A brand new DSTV HD decoder plus 1 month DSTV confirmed subscription for a lower price of 9,900 naira. If you've always wanted to give your family amazing entertainment, then this is your time. Offer starts from February 1st for a limited time only. Terms and conditions apply. DSTV Nigeria, it's your moment. Charles!
Yes, mommy?
Go and bring 2 sachets of hypo bleach for me.
Why 2?
Because I'm using 1 to soak the whites and using 1 to kill all the germs.
But I can't see any germs here.
They are so tiny you can't see them, but they are there. And that is why I trust only hypo bleach to kill them all.
Make your white fabrics whiter and your household free of illness causing germs and viruses with the disinfecting power of hypo bleach.
àti dé òpin ìdíje àṣẹ yìí ọlọ́wọ́ ṣíbí tó gbajúmọ̀ kárí ayé ni yóò jẹ́rìí sí oúnjẹ tó dára jùlọ.
ó ti fún ṣẹ́jú jẹ́ wá yìí tàbí yóò wí pé gbégbá orókè.
àmì ni ó gbogbo àwọn ọlọ́wọ́ ṣíbí wọ̀nyí ló gbégbá orókè.
ibikíbi tó lè wà tàbí irúfẹ́ ìtọ́wò rẹ o lè ṣe oúnjẹ alárinrin ní gbogbo ìgbà pẹ̀lú ọ̀ngà ohun ìsebẹ̀ aládùn ti nàìjà tá a ṣe báyìí pẹ̀lú sóyà tiwantiwa fún èrè aṣaralóore rẹpẹtẹ.
Onga, Mama's helping hand.
Àwarawa eré aládùn orí rédíò tí àjọ Search for Common Ground ṣe àgbékalẹ̀ rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ìrànwọ́ owó láti ọwọ́ àjọ European Union.
Bí ẹ kò bá ra àwọn ohun èlò oúnjẹ yẹn máa kó àwọn ọmọ mi máa sì padà sílùú ńlá.
Kí ni àwa ṣẹlẹ̀ síṣẹ́ onídìrí rẹ?
Olùkọ́ àgbà ọkùnrin yìí ni ó jí agolo gàrí kan lọ́dọ̀ ìyá Elisa.
Kí wọ́n ní ìdí tí ẹ ṣe fẹ́ sun láàyè nítorí agolo gàrí kan àbí?
Eré aládùn orí rédíò yìí àwarawa yóò máa wá sétí ìgbọ̀nyín.
Ní gbogbo ọjọ́ ìṣẹ́gun Tuesday.
Láago 8 alẹ́.
Lórí ìkànnì yìí Splash 105.5 FM.
Ẹ kú ojú lọ́nà.
Àwarawa, 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 là ń tọ́jú ara wa.
It is time for celebration. 30 years busting with goodness. The challenge can never ever stop us. You can't underrate us. You can't underrate it. But still with so much greatness. Enjoy our wonderful.
tó já sí pọ́ọ̀tù bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn ó yẹ kó kọ́kọ́ kan ní kẹ́.
ta ló sọ yẹn bẹ́ẹ̀ni ṣe ń ṣe pásítà tèmi nìyẹn o àti pé golden penny ni pásítà tí kì í lẹ̀pọ̀ kò sí ìyọnu.
àwọn èmi fẹ́ ṣe pẹ̀lú ṣàjẹ́ àti oríṣiríṣi àtàkà tí kò kún náà ti rú woro.
gbádùn golden penny pasta bó o ṣe fẹ́ a ṣe golden penny pasta pẹ̀lú èpo àlìkámà durum wheat tó ní protein tí kì í sì lẹ̀pọ̀ o ní àǹfààní láti sè é bù tàbí jẹ bó o ṣe fẹ́ nítorí pé kò ní lẹ̀pọ̀ pẹ̀lú golden penny pasta bó o ṣe fẹ́ ló dáa jù.
Splash FM 105.5.
Well, it's 27 minutes past 8 o'clock. A beautiful Monday morning, 8th day of March 2021. It's the International Women's Day. We're celebrating today. So massive shout out to all women listening, especially this morning, and even those who aren't. Well, we are celebrating you this morning, and we hope that today continues to be as beautiful as it has started. Discussing issues around International Women's Day with me is Mrs. Ibe. So far, we've been talking about women's position, how women are pulling their weight or not. And I know that before the break, I asked you if women really are pulling their weight. And I want to just ask another question in that light. Yeah. Oftentimes, when I hear men who are not particularly fans of feminism or the push for equality on the part of women, they say that women only spring the feminism word when it is convenient for them, or the what a man can do, a woman can do line. The women only spring it up when it is convenient. There are times when women have expectations of men. Women expect men to do everything, cater for the family, provide, and then when it seems to suit them, women now turn around and say, we want equality and we want you to give us our own chance to show what we can do. Do you think that is a fair assessment, or at least a fair argument on the part of certain men? Are there women who just want to relax and be taken care of, as we say in today's parlance, and yet crying for equality when it comes to the men, from your own personal perspective, of course?
Okay. What you said just sounded like when you say someone is politically correct. When something is going to benefit you, then you
flip it to
that angle. And come to think of it, we live in a political world, so if it plays to your advantage, why not? But then on a more serious note, for men that place that kind of hype on feminism, when you look at it, what really is feminism? It's just about equality of both of the sexes. That's what it's about. And
some will tell you that the sexes cannot be equal. Even God made it from the start in the Bible that the man should be the head. So on what basis are we asking for equality?
On the basis that all human beings are the same. It's only that we are different by design and by the roles we play in the society or the roles we play in the family. For any man who hinges on that, that's a form of discrimination. Who are you to subject a fellow human being or to bring her down because the person is not the same sex with you? And bear in mind that for some men, it's as a result of insecurity. They feel once a woman comes into this office, she'll probably take over, and then she'll bring in more women and we'll lose our space. So that's insecurity, and it shouldn't be. We should begin to learn how to educate our sons and the younger ones coming up. The more awareness we create, the more they see, like I said in the beginning, this is not about competition. This is about letting each gender complement the other gender so that we have a better world and a fair world. That's what, for me, it's all about. So for such men, unfortunately, they can't stop it because the times have changed and it keeps changing. So the earlier you learn to align yourself and make sure you are able to harmonize, or to be able to take in all you can from the corporate world or from business or wherever it is where you have female counterparts, the better for such people.
Absolutely, very well said. And we talked about the campaign theme for this year, which is Choose to Challenge. And the whole idea, from what I read earlier, is it was said that a challenged world is an alert world, you know. So women are encouraged to challenge. What are the things? What are some of the focuses that you think women should be challenging that hold women back from accomplishing more or fulfill or being more visible, you know, in spaces where they should be visible? What are some of those things that we should choose to challenge on a day like this?
Challenge inequality in the system. Challenge anything that is not fair. But I always also advocate for wisdom. There are ways you can play your advocacy roles. If you need to carry a placard, there are times for that. If it needs to be a form of sitting round table discussion, then that's it. If it needs to be to draw someone's attention to something you feel is very relevant or critical that we are missing out in a system, then that's what it is. So the bottom line is knowing how to play your card and how to play it
being
very well.
Strategic about how we choose to pursue that.
Being very strategic about how you go about it. And then a woman also should be very critical about challenging violence against women. Don't say, I've never witnessed it in my home. Don't say, well, it's their fault, this, that, because you never know. And for every one person you lift up out of misery or depression or violence, it's going to have a spiral effect. Those women, they have children, they have dependents, who, if care is not taken, that same cycle is going to be repeated in their life. So the more we let certain things continue, the more it's like we are chasing after the wind. The things you are trying to hold back and correct, will not be able to correct them. We should challenge inertia, particularly for me this year. I choose to challenge inertia. Inertia for me is that point you feel there's nothing more to do.
Okay.
There's nothing more to do.
You've done it all.
You've done it all. No. So if you have done it all, that leadership position you are looking for, you probably may not be able to get there. I like a quote, I live to learn and I learn to live. And for me, that's what it's all about. So if I keep learning, I keep living. If I keep living, I keep learning. And if there's another thing too that would help women, it's knowledge. The more, we're talking about challenges.
Yes.
When you have a challenge and you are able to face it squarely, you grow in capacity. And you are able to handle and do more. But if you have a challenge and you run away, tomorrow the challenge still comes. So a challenged word is an alert word, means you have discovered that this is the situation and this is what I want to do about it. So women who are problem solvers, they also easily find their way to the top. So the clamor about getting to the top or having a leadership position is not just about we are women, they have to give us space. What are you, after all said and done, after that space has been put on a platter and given to you, what are you going to make out of it? Are you going
Big question.
Exactly.
Big question. But it's easy to say women should aspire. Aspire, yeah, that's the word, to positions of leadership and break those barriers that have been placed on them by men. But one thing that we have to deal with, particularly the men do not, is creating a balance between taking care of your family, the children, and then still running on this race that men seem unhindered on. It's easier for men, a lot of people would argue, to aspire to places of position and relevance. The woman is always having to consider the children, the family. So for someone who has done it or who's in the process of doing it, what would you say is the formula for achieving balance, being able to hold it down in the family and still being, motivated and pushed enough to attain that position of relevance in your industry, in your career? How? Women who are asking, with this burden of the children, the family that's on me, and I know I want to be more than this, but how do I do the two of them side by side and excel?
Okay, that reminds me, I think it was last year we talked about balance for better. And I've read a couple of write-ups by Michelle Obama on how she was able to balance and do a lot of things. When I was writing that article in 2019 or 2020, I can't remember, I looked back to the life of my grandmother. Her life, even though it seemed like she lived in the past, is pretty much the same as it is now. A woman having to do so many things, several things, and yet still stand out well. First and foremost, you must understand that there are different phases in life. What can I do at this phase of my life? I must not be without doing it. Because if I don't, I get to the next phase. I'm already carrying a baggage from back. And then assess yourself. What can I do now? What can I put in the cooler? What can hold on? What can I plan for 5 years' time and in 10 years' time? One of my senior colleagues was being interviewed on this leadership thing for COVID, for 2021 IWD. And she said at a point in her life, she had to stop work because she knew she couldn't manage children upbringing, and then work and a lot of other things. So she stepped down one and continued on other. So those are the things we must also understand, that when a woman who has competence, who has experience, who has so much to share, decides to keep that, to focus on the family, we should not despise her. Because above all, she wears the shoes. She knows where it's pinching. So when she's done with that aspect and she feels she's ready to come back to work, she does a couple of things to brush herself back. She shouldn't come back and then there are side comments or cynical comments like, okay, so she's back now, so what do we do? Just promote her anyhow or what? It shouldn't be. We should learn that for every phase, we have what it takes, but we have to access the situation, what pays us more.
But really, how easy is it for a woman to put her career on hold? How many people get lucky to come back and pick up from where they left off? Most times, you give it up. You end up being a housewife because that phase is gone. It seems difficult, especially in this day and age where, unemployment is rife. Nobody keeps a space waiting for you for when you're done managing your children or childbirth to come back to that. How easy, really?
You create the space. If nobody keeps the space for you, then you create the space.
How do you do that?
That's also another thing. We need to look beyond the 4 walls of 8 to 5 p.m. I was going to say, yes. I was going to say, what I wanted to say just skipped my mind, but...
so sorry. I made you lose your train of thoughts.
No, it's okay. It happens. I was going to say that we should just not be... Okay, I was going to say, except you lose sight of the seashore, you cannot see the island. There are things that are not under your control. So you can't keep worrying about the job you probably want to go back to in 5 years or 10 years and then let the present suffer. Remember one thing you said the other day, I choose to live in the present. What for you, what for me, does it mean to live in the present? Does it mean being in the present and losing the present and still losing the future? Life is about making choices. I'm not saying it's easy, but that is what it is. A man cannot have children. A woman can have children. It alters your body system. It alters your career. It alters your life. But the women that have aspired and have achieved, it was still the same process. So what would you want to keep on the burner now? What would you want to keep on the cooler now so that you can be able to have a fulfilled tomorrow? That's the way I look at it. If you don't lose sight, I remember when I got a job, I was in a particular town and I had to relocate. That's also another thing. Most men on the interview board will say, but she's married. If we give her this job, when her spouse is leaving, she carries her bag and she goes. And before you know it, she goes on mat leave. So what happens for 3 months? What happens for 4 months? But it shouldn't be. If the person has the competence and the experience, which is what I also advocate for. As a woman, you have innate leadership potentials, but you must do something to develop it. This person I talked about that had to keep job on the hold, during that period, she was doing all sorts of informal things. She was studying online. She was helping people write theses and take them through based on the knowledge she had. And by the time she was coming back to work, it wasn't like she was coming from ground zero. It wasn't like she has been rusty all over a period of 3 years or 2 years. She was coming back higher than when she left. So there's no way if you have opportunity, you will not give such a person.
Fantastic.
But I also believe in creating your own opportunity. I know someone that tells me, if they can't give you opportunity to do XYZ, then you create the opportunity and do XYZ. So if you have that mindset, it keeps you going.
All this can seem overwhelming. You know, a woman out there might be listening and be wondering, okay, I mean, it's all cool and noble for women to aspire. I don't know why I keep saying ascribe. Aspire to achieve all these things. But what if I don't? What if I am not ambitious? Is it a crime for a woman who says, you know what, this whole forging ahead, equality, I want to be at the top thing is not for me. I am comfortable with the little I have, my family, my small 8 to 9. That is all my ambition and that is all I want to be. Is there anything wrong with such?
There is nothing wrong with such.
So such women should not feel unsettled when women who aspire to more are speaking. Because what I feel is that there are times when we use this one brush and we rub it across and it comes across as if everybody should have the ambition to want to be, you know, Okonjo Iweala, you know, and break all the ceilings. There are women who are just comfortable with what they have, that little, and that's all that they want. That in itself should be enough. Yeah.
Well, for such people, if it's enough, then fine. It's enough for them because definitely everybody will not be an Okonjo Iweala. Everybody will not be an Obi Ezekwesili. Everybody will not be an Madam Ibuku Awoshika. But we will all be what we will be. So if you feel this whole thing, I have a young person I had once talked with about time management. And I said, if you continue doing like this, you think you'll be able to work in a bank? And then the person goes, I don't even want to work in the bank. So what do you do with such persons? And then the person also says, when I try to hurry to meet up with time, it makes my head ache. So I don't bother. So I know we are different. So that's why I also talked about we getting to understand and know ourselves. But where it becomes a bit worrisome for a woman to do that, because if it's a woman that has children, what are you going to impact into them? We are talking about the different roles women play today, whether it's in leadership, even in the home. You are a leader of a sort in your home. These children are going to become the politicians of tomorrow, senators of tomorrow, teachers of tomorrow, bankers, doctors, whatever it is. So are you comfortable to see them compete with people who have what they do not have. Because after all said and done, it's not just about the education you have had, whether formal or informal. There is a form of background learning you have had at home from your parents or your aunties or uncles or other people in your family around.
Yeah.
So sometimes those are the things that keep
Help
you
to
going.
shape you.
Exactly. So if you are comfortable to let them struggle in a world where they are almost just all on their own without any kind of support, not support in terms of money,
yes,
not support in terms of network you have created, but by capacity you would have built on the inside of them, then fine. I know of women that their husbands have probably paid for to go to somewhere to learn how to make hair, to go and learn how to sew. Once as a man is dressing to go to work, they are dressing. They drop the children and they come back home to come and watch home movie. And that's what they do. When it's afternoon, they go back and then they keep doing this. And then the husband keeps asking, this trade we are learning, when are we going to be done? And doesn't even know that they have not started anything. But you know what? Time will always tell. So when time tells, what's going to happen? That's the message I want to leave for such
Absolutely.
people.
It's interesting that you would say it that way, but on the flip side, certain people believe that character, as we see lacking the way it is now, is mostly because the home is not as put together as it is. The man is off trying to provide for the family. The woman is off. The grooming, the training, the taking care of the children, giving them lessons of life, not lessons that you learn in school. The role that a mother plays in the home, ensuring that she's watching over the children, teaching them things about character, about culture, about all these things that you're not taught in school. They say it's lacking in a lot of young people these days, because when you go to families, you find that there's no time anymore. The husband and wife are torn between trying to make a living for the family, and then the children are almost neglected because the mommy is trying to aspire to be the MD of her company. The father is also there trying to aspire to great things, and then the children are left in the hands of nannies, teachers, and at the end of the day, when these people grow up to be adults, they seem to be lacking in something. Do you agree with that argument?
I agree certainly that there are situations like that where the parents, in pursuit of so many things, have left undone the very things which they should have done. But I would also want to look at it from another angle. Whatever we do in life, we have to do it intentionally. Children will grow at a particular time, and after that, they are gone. So what do I want to achieve in that particular period of their lives? Let me digress a bit. One time I drew up something in January, what they call a vision board. I don't know if you've heard about it. Of
course.
And I had put there that I would like to meet an influential woman. I actually used a picture of a white person, which was what I saw at the magazine I was cutting. And because of that intention, it was on my mind to be on the lookout. So I was in the airport once, and I met Madame Obi Ezekwesili. I saw her. Ordinarily, I will not go. I would sit on my corner and just probably be eyeing her, smiling and all that. But because there was an intention in me, I went and sat beside her, and she gave me audience. And then I asked her, okay, after I asked her what has helped you get to where you are, she said, do you have a family vision? So children upbringing is not the work of one person. It's not the work of the father. It's not the work of the mother. It's the work of the parents, plus the in-laws, plus whoever it is, the uncle, the auntie, whoever is staying with them. But the mother, the woman in this case, we are discussing about women, should intentionally make out time to pass across what has to be passed across to the children.
We have less than 3 minutes, but we can't go without talking about the club.
Yes, book club.
Absolutely. So you say it's a book club for professional women who like to read. What was the idea behind creating such a platform? Why did you think it was necessary to have that?
I've always desired to have a platform to share minds with people that do the same thing I do, but across industries. I work as an administrator currently, and I know I work in an agricultural research environment. There are administrators in healthcare, engineering, accounting, manufacturing. We do basically the same thing in terms of by standards, but it will always differ. So I always want to find out, how do they do this? And I didn't set out just to create. It's a burden that's been in my mind. But then I read a book in 2017 about women maximizing your potentials and strategies. So the person talked about uplift your morning, uplift your vision, uplift all sorts of things. And I felt maybe I could read this with a group of women and we see how we can change things around us. And that was it. Today there are over 105 professional women in the book club. We interact majorly on the WhatsApp group. There are other social media channels we have through which because we believe the things we discuss there, the things we talk about, it shouldn't be retained in the four walls of a WhatsApp room. So we look for avenues to take it out. And it has been very insightful. Half of the people there, I haven't met them. But you see, it doesn't matter because we have a common goal to read. So as we're reading, we are learning, we are sharing.
Do you think it challenges women, such a group, do you think it challenges women to want to be better from the interactions you've had within that group and seeing women respond to that platform? What kind of vibe does it give you?
It gives me a very positive vibe. Currently, we are writing a book. This is an output of our discussions from last year. And some of the writers, we have 7 chapters, 22 writers. Some of them said they've never written a book before, but they feel comfortable doing it with some that have written, some that have been reading together with them, so it makes it easy. So that's the challenge we are talking about. You probably feel very comfortable sitting down, crossing your legs, relaxing and reading somebody else's, but now one day you wake up and say somebody can actually read mine.
I could do this. If someone else could do this, I too can do it.
And when we finish reading a book, when it's possible, we bring the author on board. Some authors will say, no, I don't want to stand where they are reviewing my book, which is you give it to them, that's what they want. And some will gladly come on board, stay with us in the chat room. People will ask them questions. How did you come about writing the book? This, that. And it's just been a learning platform.
I know that this is just the beginning, that you're going to accomplish more. I mean, I see what's happening in the group, and sometimes I feel envious that I can't be as active as other people, but we have to give kudos to you for thinking of something like that and making it happen and encouraging women to be better, which is what this whole thing is about, pushing women to do more, to not be comfortable with just, the positions that they've been given, but to want to do more. Mrs. Ezine Ibe, it was an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for making time to be here. And again, I wish you a happy International Women's Day.
And I wish you the same to yourself, Ronke, Mariam, and all the ladies in the studio.
Thank you.
FM. Thank you for all the good work you're doing. Thank you for informing us of the happenings when we are going to work in the morning.
We appreciate it, and we'll continue to do the very best that we can. That's all the time we have on the show today. We hope that you've been enlightened at the very least, and that you've been motivated to want to be more, especially if you are a woman. Tomorrow, Ron is going to be here from 6:30 all the way till 9. My name is Charity Jerome. Enjoy the rest of your Monday morning and stay safe.
Splash FM 105.5.
Now, where's that